Finally, we're finishing this thing. Don't worry, there's a whole bunch of other problems we're still going to have to fix along the way. But at the end, we'll be in paint. What I've done is I've welded my little beads in, did my tacking. This part here is flanged underneath. It's not welded. I got a little vice grip on here kind of holding it in position. This way it can still move around. That's kind of important. I was going to make this panel in one piece, but it was a bit of a pain, so I decided 2 pieces. I'll put that one in later. But right in here, there's a little dippy-doo. And here, it's kind of high. So, it's the heads up. I'm going to grind this first because it's high, and that way I'm just knocking off the high spots of the weld. Then I'm going to take a hammer underneath, hammer this out, and then do my grinding then. It's something to take into consideration when you're working on this stuff. It's basically grind where the high spots are and then it's easier if you can make it a little bit higher to grind and then flatten it back down again. There's warpage in here, but you know what? It's a smaller area. There's place for the material to go. So when I go and hammer it down, I can actually get it flat that way. What we have is, I did some hammer and dolly work, but I've got a choice. Either I got a divot or a crown, and we've got a bit of oil. I'm not going to push down on it to show you because I really don't want to fix it again. But we've got a oil can here, and right now it's got a crown on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the shrinking discs. Now, if you don't familiar with one of these, there are videos on what shrinking discs do, and I'm going to show you. But if you need to make one or want to make a cheap one, you're going to have to go and watch my other video about budget shrinking discs. It's not fast, but it does work. You can start to feel it as getting lower and lower. Might be here for a while. So that was a job and a half. Okay, I had to go back and forth a few times. I wasn't going to bore you with that. A couple of spots I had to pick back up. I still had to hammer some stuff down. It's practice. You're just going to have to try that one. The other thing I should point out is one of the things I forgot to mention is with this thing, that the reason it was protruding the way it was is I forgot I have to put a hard disk in behind it as a spacer to bring it out. So now that this is actually sitting below this. Let me show you that you can do something, but probably shouldn't do something. It's a fine example. When you see all the little pinholes in here, some of them are like about a 1/4 inch in diameter. Yes, you can fill them with MIG, and you will probably melt through some spots, which is more rust than it is steel, but it can be done. It's not recommended. If this car, it was my car, and I actually had it in a restoration shop and they did this, I'd be absolutely livid. You don't do this normally. However, the customer is getting his labor for free, and the steel I have is free. So this is what he's going to get. So far he's seen the work I'm doing. He's absolutely tickled pink and happy with it. And at the end of the day, it's his opinion that counts when it comes to this car. But I still have to be happy with it too. It's going to be a bit of an experiment in the sense that how long is it actually going to last? Now, the thing to remember, this thing is not going to be driven in the wintertime. So I don't have to worry too much about salt and things rusting things away. And I will do pour, once I grind everything off, it's going to get pour 15. It's going to get probably epoxy prime as well, and probably even some seam sealer on here. So it's going to be well protected and hopefully won't be coming back. And now for your entertainment, we have the pile of scrap that was underneath the car. I just want to show you like these wonderful pop riveted panels that were literally rotting out. A whole bunch more rot that, yeah, my MIG welder wasn't going to quite fill that one, so new panel for that. Yeah, as you can see, a rather nasty mess. So let's do a little recap here. When we've got some panels that have a little bit of a minor issue, the shrinking disc is great for working that. When I've got moderate issues with warpage and oil canning, I can use the torch. If it's a lot worse, that's when I will go to the MIG. A couple of reasons for that. If I use the torch, it will heat up a spot, you quench it, and shrinks it. But it heats up a larger area. Even though it looks like you're heating up the spot, you're actually heating up a larger area. It's a lot harder to quench. If I use a MIG and I build up a spot, right at that spot, quench it, it quenches a lot quicker. It's a lot more effective, I find, a lot more effective for shrinking it. And that's why you see a lot. This was not a panel. By the way, before you guys go nuts in the comments, just stop your typing now. This panel is crap and really should be replaced. Honestly, I'm on a bit of a time crunch right now because I got to get this thing out of here before the snow flies. It's not fun working outside in the winter in this country. And so what I'm going to do, this is going to get pour 15 filled. But for now, it is relatively flat.
More importantly, I got rid of the oil can. That was more of a concern. Plus, this thing was nasty dipped. That's why I had to push up on it. And I didn't show all the work I was doing, only because, oh man, that's going to take forever. And it was a lot of back and forth between the jack underneath, pushing up, flattening it out, and even after I shrank it, and then I tried to straighten it again and try to get the dents out, we got the oil can back again. So a lot of back and forth. We're all pain in the butt. If you're doing this at home, don't even think about fixing this. Cut it out, put a new one in, okay? Or we'll get into this, maybe put in a whole new trunk floor instead of being crazy like me.
And here we have it with a coat of primer. Just like Ma Ford would have made it. Well, maybe, maybe not. But to the unsuspecting, unless you really know your concourse restorations, I think this one is definitely going to pass. I know my brother's going to be very happy with this one. So as long as we got a happy customer, we got no complaints.
So finally, we've come to the end of this project. It's been not so lovingly referred to as the elephant in the driveway. It's something that's been here for several months, but it's something that still needed to be done. In the future, I think there's going to be quarter work, some other work that still needs to be done. So if you looked at some of the work and thought that's kind of shoddy, this is also the stuff that's going to get cut out and replaced, or anything that looks like it should have been replaced wasn't for that reason. It's no use me getting into trunk extensions if I got to put quarters on it. That is a future consideration. Hopefully, if my brother ever finds quarters, because I'm not going to try and fabricate them this time, or try and patch panels. It's not worth the effort. By the way, while we're on that topic, doing the patching the way I did, it's doable. I don't recommend it. If you can afford it, buy the panels. It's a lot less work at the end of the day, and you'll still end up with a lot better product at the end. Anyways, customer's happy. That's brother. But then again, he's not paying me, so, well, what goes around comes around. I'll get some labor out of him yet. I hope you're watching this one, Ted. What I got to deal with now is, and I hate to break this to you, the postings are going to be a little bit more sporadic, only because I've got to start dealing with some renovations in the house. I've already got told, I wish you would do some work around the house instead of working on the cars all the time. Well, I love working on cars. I hate doing renovations. But, you know, it's one of the things you got to do. This is part of life. Stuff comes up and we got to deal with it. So the only thing is, if you want to watch renovations, don't watch me. I'm not going to post on that one. There's plenty of other better channels when it comes to nailing hammers and all that other stuff that's people have more enjoyment doing. I like hammering just on metal, not on wood. I'll try and work on the truck when I can, and if I do something interesting, I'll post it. I get done what I get done. I know the algorithm is not going to like me if I don't post regularly. Well, too bad for the algorithm. As long as you guys are getting some content that you can use, I'm doing my job, even as sporadic. Anyways, I want to thank you guys again for watching, subscribing, and for supporting this channel. Bye for now.